9 days. That's all it took for the world to fall in love with Robin Harris on the big screen and then lose him forever. March 1990. House Party hits theaters. Robin's voice, that laugh, that unforgettable presence as Poppet was finally reaching millions. And just when Hollywood was ready to embrace him, he was gone, 36 years old. Heart stopped in a Chicago hotel room. A legend silenced right as the applause began. You ever think about that? How close greatness can be to tragedy? If you love uncovering hidden legends like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to Legends Underrated and tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? Robin Hughes Harris was born August 30th, 1953, in the heart of Chicago's Southside. This wasn't some glamorous neighborhood. This was survival territory. Blues bars on Friday nights, church choirs on Sunday mornings, hustlers trying to make it to payday, the kind of place where laughter was both a weapon and a shield. His father, Earl, worked long hours just to keep the lights on. His mother, Maddie, held the family together with pride and grit. They weren't rich, but they had something money couldn't buy: resilience. And Robin, he watched it all. He absorbed every story, every rhythm, every lie people told themselves just to get through the day. Even as a kid, he had this gift. He could make anyone laugh. The mailman, the teacher, the kids on the block, they say, that boy got a mouth on him. But it wasn't cruel. It was sharp, observant, truthful. Chicago wit at its finest. He didn't just tell jokes. He held up a mirror and made you laugh at your own reflection. Comedy, for Robin, was never just about punchlines. It was about truth. The Southside taught him that humor could turn pain into something bearable, something communal. Crime, racism, poverty, they were all around him. But so were the stories, the music, the rhythm of people refusing to break. He grew up listening to Richard Pryor and Red Foxx, studying how they transformed real life into art. That's what he wanted to do, make people laugh at the truth instead of running from it. By his teens, Robin already had that presence, that cool, unbothered confidence. Attention didn't chase him, it found him. People felt drawn to his energy, like he had something important to say even when he was just standing still. Chicago raised him, shaped him, gave him the foundation. But that laugh, that was pure Robin Harris. After high school, Robin did something unexpected. He went to college, Illinois State University. For a kid from the South Side, that was a big deal. He majored in speech and theater, and that's where things clicked. He'd walk into class and crack a joke before the professor even started talking. The whole room would erupt. That timing, that delivery, it was instinct. You couldn't teach it. While other students rehearsed Shakespeare, Robin was creating characters from real life. The barber, the church lady, the hustler, the nosy neighbor. He painted pictures with words. And people didn't just laugh, they saw themselves. After graduating, Robin didn't jump straight into comedy. Life had bills waiting. He worked factory jobs, office gigs, whatever paid. But during those long shifts, he cracked jokes with coworkers, turning boring hours into something memorable. And at night, he'd hit small clubs, open mics, anywhere with a stage. Those early nights were brutal, tiny crowds, no pay sometimes. But Robin didn't care. He was hooked. He knew this was his calling. He'd drive miles just to perform for 5 minutes. And when he grabbed that mic, the world disappeared. It was just him and the audience. That's when his style started forming, storytelling mixed with roasting, real talk wrapped in rhythm, no gimmicks, no fake voices, just honesty. He talked about being black in Chicago, about love, money, and everyday struggles. People connected because it was their life too. He wasn't pretending to be someone else. He was showing them who they already were. Friends said he had an old soul. Even in his 20s, he talked like a man who lived 100 years. That's why his jokes hit so deep. They came from experience, from truth. By the late 1970s, Robin was ready. He wasn't famous yet, but he had found his voice. Comedy wasn't a dream anymore. It was his purpose. When Robin Harris hit the Los Angeles comedy circuit in the late 1970s, it was a grind. The city was packed with talent. Richard Pryor, Paul Mooney, Red Foxx had set the standard, and young comics were flooding in, desperate to make a name. But Robin, he stood out the second he touched the mic. He didn't tell jokes. He talked life. You'd hear him and feel like you were back home, sitting on the porch with that one uncle who always had a story. He started performing at small clubs, the Comedy Store, the Comedy Act Theater, hole-in-the-wall joints, where the audience could be your biggest fan or your worst nightmare. Robin handled both like a pro. He'd walk out with that calm swagger, scan the room and start roasting people, but in a way that made them love him. It felt like he was pulling you into the joke, not pointing at you. Word spread fast. Yo, you heard about this dude Robin from Chicago? He's killing it. By the early 1980s, he became the go-to host at the Comedy Act Theater, one of the first black-owned comedy clubs in Los Angeles. That place became his kingdom. Every weekend, the line wrapped around the block. People came not just to see a show, but to see Robin work the room. He had this rhythm, part preacher, part street philosopher. He jumped from joke to real talk without warning. One minute you're laughing, the next you're nodding like, damn, he's right. That's what made him dangerous. He made you think while you laughed, and he didn't care who was in the room. Movie stars, athletes, everyday folks, everyone got the same treatment. Robin would say, I don't discriminate. Everybody can get these jokes. And people loved him for it. He kept it real. Young comics started hanging around just to watch him work. Martin Lawrence, Jamie Foxx, Damon Wayans, they all learned something from Robin. He'd pull them aside, give advice, share the game. He believed that if you were funny, the world would find you no matter where you came from. By the mid-1980s, Robin Harris had built a name that couldn't be ignored. He didn't have a sitcom or a movie deal yet, but in the comedy clubs of Los Angeles, he was royalty. Then came Bébe's Kids. Man, if you know, you know. This wasn't just a bit. It was a cultural event. Robin created the routine based on a real-life dating experience, a woman he took out who brought along 3 wild, uncontrollable children. Not her kids, her friend Bébe's kids. And these kids, they were chaos incarnate. Robin's retelling of that night became legendary. He'd act out every moment, the kids tearing up the amusement park, embarrassing him in public, running wild with zero supervision. The punchline? We don't die, we multiply. That line hit different. It wasn't just funny, it was truth. It spoke to resilience, to survival, to the way black communities carried on no matter what. The bit resonated so deeply that it became part of the culture. People quoted it at family reunions, in barbershops, at parties. Bébe's Kids became shorthand for any group of out-of-control children. But more than that, it became a symbol of Robin's genius, his ability to take a frustrating situation and turn it into comedy gold. The routine was so popular that it eventually became an animated film in 1992, 2 years after Robin's death. Even though Faison Love voiced the character, audiences could still hear Robin in every line. The dedication at the end in memory of Robin Harris reminded everyone that this wasn't just a movie. It was his unfinished dream brought to life. Stories like these are why I built Legends Underrated, so make sure to subscribe for more untold tales. 1990. Robin Harris finally got his Hollywood moment. House Party, directed by Reginald Hudlin, was a fresh, energetic film that captured the spirit of young black culture. And Robin? He played Pop, the no-nonsense father who delivered some of the film's most memorable lines. That side eye, that voice, that, boy, you better not mess up my house energy. It was pure Robin. The film premiered in March, and audiences loved it. Critics praised it. Robin's performance stood out, even in a cast full of rising stars like Kid and Play. Finally, Hollywood was paying attention. Finally, the world outside the comedy clubs was seeing what Robin's fans had known for years: this man was special. But just 9 days after the premiere, on March 18th, 1990, Robin Harris was found dead in a Chicago hotel room. Heart attack. 36 years old. The news sent shockwaves through the comedy world. How does someone so full of life just stop? Friends couldn't believe it. Fans were devastated. He was supposed to be at the beginning of something big, not the end. The tragedy was compounded by timing. House Party was still in theaters. Robin's star was rising. Offers were coming in. And then, nothing. Just silence. Hollywood had finally opened the door, and Robin walked through it for 9 days before the door slammed shut forever. The official cause of death was a heart attack, but questions lingered. What really happened? Some speculated about the stress of sudden fame, the exhaustion from years of grinding, the toll of constant travel. Robin had been performing non-stop, living hard, burning bright, maybe too bright. There were no scandals, no foul play, no mysterious circumstances, just a man whose body gave out. But that didn't make it easier to accept. 36 is too young, too soon, too much left to give. Friends said he'd been tired, stressed, pushing himself to keep up with the momentum. He'd finally gotten his shot, and he wasn't going to waste it. But the price of that ambition was steep. Robin Harris poured everything into his craft, and in the end, there was nothing left. His death was a reminder of how fragile success can be. One moment you're on top of the world, the next, you're gone. But here's the thing: Robin didn't wait for Hollywood to validate him. He built his own legacy in the clubs, in the laughter of regular folks, in the hearts of anyone who ever saw him live. That's why, even after all these years, people still talk about him like he never left. After Robin's passing, there was silence, the kind that hangs heavy after the music stops. But it didn't last. His fans, his peers, and a new generation of comedians made sure his name never faded. You can't bury real talent. Robin's legacy lived again through stories, tapes, and that unmistakable laugh people couldn't forget. In 1992, when Bébe's Kids finally hit theaters, it was more than just an animated comedy. It was a resurrection. The film introduced his voice, his rhythm, his worldview to millions who had never seen him perform live. Even though Faison Love filled in as the voice, audiences could still feel Robin in every line. The dedication at the end, in memory of Robin Harris, hit deep. It reminded everyone that this wasn't just a movie, it was his unfinished dream coming to life. As the years passed, his influence spread through the growing digital age. VHS tapes, bootleg comedy cassettes, and later YouTube clips kept his routines alive. Fans began uploading old footage from the Comedy Act Theater. Grainy, shaky recordings, but filled with laughter that still hit hard. Young comics who weren't even born when Robin died discovered those clips and said, "Man, this dude was the truth." His work found new life among fans who appreciated authenticity in a world full of filters and scripts. Social media brought back his classic quotes. "We don't die, we multiply. You know you're wrong for that. I don't discriminate. Everybody can get these jokes." Memes, tribute posts, fan-made videos, all kept his humor alive for the next generation. Every now and then, his name trends again. When someone posts an old clip, or when a comedian shouts him out in an interview, people flood the comments with, "He was a real one," or "Gone too soon." It's like a digital echo of that Southside laughter from decades ago, and that's the beauty of it. Robin never had a blockbuster stand-up special, no Netflix deal, no Hollywood machine behind him, but decades later people still remember, they still laugh, they still feel him. That's immortality in its truest form. Robin Harris. Just saying his name brings back a wave of memories, doesn't it? That voice, that laugh, that presence. You could feel it even through a TV screen. It's wild to think he was only 36 when he passed, because the impact he left feels like a lifetime's worth. He was one of those people who didn't need a long career to make a deep mark. He spoke the truth, made people laugh through their pain, and showed the world that comedy could be as real as life itself. When you look back now, House Party hits different. Watching those scenes, hearing that voice, it feels like Robin's still right there, giving us that side eye, that, boy, you better not mess up my house. Look, you can't fake that kind of energy. It came from experience, from struggle, from love. And maybe that's why it sticks with us. Robin didn't perform comedy, he lived it. Every line, every expression came straight from who he was, a man who understood people, who found laughter in the middle of life's madness. What's crazy is how much of modern comedy still carries his fingerprints. You can hear it in Bernie Mac's storytelling, in Martin Lawrence's rhythm, in every comic who gets on stage and says, "Let me tell y'all something real." That's Robin's blueprint. He showed that comedy wasn't about being fancy. It was about being honest. You could talk about your neighborhood, your family, your struggles, and make the world laugh with you. Robin's story also reminds us how fragile success can be. One moment you're on the rise, the next is gone, but it's not a sad story. It's a reminder to live big while you can. He didn't wait for Hollywood to validate him. He built his own legacy in the clubs, in the laughter of regular folks, in the hearts of anyone who ever saw him live. And that phrase, "we don't die, we multiply," man, that became prophecy. His influence multiplied, his style multiplied, his truth multiplied. Every time a comedian tells a story that hits home, every time someone watches House Party and laughs like it's the first time, that's Robin multiplying. That's his spirit still at work. This twist shocked the world. And if you never want to miss stories like this, subscribe to Legends Underrated today. You look at the world now, comedy specials, viral clips, podcasts, and you realize how ahead of his time he was. Robin would have thrived in this era, social media, streaming, all that. He would have owned it. His voice would have cut through all the noise. But even without it, he made himself timeless. That's how you know you're a legend. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Greatness doesn't need decades, it just needs truth. Robin gave the world his truth, funny, flawed, and fearless. He didn't care about being polished, he cared about being real, and that's why people still love him. So now when you hear someone bring up Bébé's kids, or quote one of his lines, or talk about the good old days of comedy, remember the man behind it all, the Southside kid who made the world laugh just by being himself. Robin Harris may not have had the long career he deserved, but he made every moment count. He gave us laughter that still echoes, lessons that still ring true, and a legacy that refuses to fade. Gone too soon, yes, but never forgotten. And here's the question we've got to ask ourselves. Do you think Robin Harris deserves to be mentioned with the legends Redd Foxx, Richard Pryor, Bernie Mac? Because when you really think about it, he belongs right there. He didn't just make comedy, he shaped it. Robin Harris was and will always be one of a kind. A legend who didn't just make us laugh, he made us feel seen. Rest easy, King. We don't die, we multiply.